So good morning, everybody. Tuesday morning, get more transactions training mastermind. If you are a guest with us, welcome. We open this up to everybody, all agents everywhere, all companies every Tuesday morning here on this Zoom link. Something we do here with our group at Freedom Team. We're about 2,600 agents now all across the country and 7 countries around the world. So we got people coming in here from all over the place and all kinds of just nuggets and wisdom and knowledge and things thrown out, especially with this market shift. My wife and I have been implementing so much stuff here lately that I haven't done for a long time. We're actually doing like a Cinco de Mayo, sort of a pre-Cinco de Mayo party this Friday night for our clients. And it was something I picked up on here about 3 weeks ago. Just like, just different things we can do. There's so much going on across the country in the business, and just we're all learning from each other in some great ways. And so anyway, this is open every week. We appreciate everybody who comes all the time. And if you can turn on your cameras, that definitely helps. Just participate with us. The more interaction we get, the better. Just a quick reminder, tomorrow, Wednesday, we have part 3 of Aaron Kinn's series that he's been doing, the ultimate listing process. And it has been phenomenal. We were going to do 3 weeks. We actually added 1 week because he's just got so much material. We got about through half of what he had last week. And so we added a week on. The response has been really, really good. If you haven't seen those recordings, you can watch them. You can find them in the Freedom Team workplace group. You can also find them on the Freedom Team YouTube page, but especially go to freedomteamsupport.com. That's a website where you'll see everything, all the different trainings that we've done, all the different, all kinds of tools and things on there. So definitely, bookmark that page and highlight it and check that out whenever you can too. All kinds of stuff on there. The calendar, we'll have a new calendar out here in a few days for next month, for May. We're getting that set up. So anyway, Kathy, why don't you take it? Introduce David. David, we appreciate you doing this. I know you got some great things to share, so looking forward to it. I got my pen and paper. I'm ready.
Yep, me too. David, we're excited to have you. So guys, you are in for a treat today. So David's only been a realtor for about 3 years, but he was the rookie of the year, his first year at Keller Williams. He is going to ICON here. He's been at EXP not quite a year yet. So he's going to hit ICON his first year here over at EXP. One fun fact about David, he's a 3rd-degree black belt, so don't mess with him. Okay. But David, he is crushing it this year. He's a developer. He is doing some development here in Nashville. He lives out of Bowling Green, but he was telling me the other day he's got about just in the last couple of months, he's got about 25 million on the books, ready to close here in the next couple of weeks. So this is who you're gonna, or a couple of months. So this is who you're gonna hear from. David, he's known as the connector. So he is very good about connecting people, and sort of that's his subtitle, the connector. So David, I'm going to turn it over to you. We're excited to learn from you, buddy.
I got you. I've got a ton of info. Could I get where I can share my screen?
Yeah. Oh, Jeff, you're gonna have to do that. You took host back.
There you go. Sorry, David. Try that.
No worries.
My bad. There you go. We can see it.
All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I will try to keep the info brief. We've got a lot of content. I'm going to try to dive deep. I sort of look at the world a little differently than a lot of people. So I sort of want to get you a little bit my mindset, because that sort of will probably answer how sort of some of the training comes. I came from the tech industry, retired. And like Kathy said, I haven't been a realtor that long, but I've been a developer for 20 plus years and a pretty seasoned investor. So when we do that, have a successful team. A lot of my team members are on here, so thank you for all you guys do. You guys are the reason I get up every morning and usually at the office by 5 or 6. So appreciate their help. And then EXP has thrown gasoline on this thing. I was at KW, happy, fat, loved it. And then we went to EXP and it's just been gangbusters. My best friend and my wife, last year she was sitting in the audience. This year she's an agent. We're doing Tennessee and stuff, and Kentucky. The picture on the right, no, it's not Photoshop. That was us at Cabo this year. So it's been a fun journey. This is sort of my wife, my family, and my kids. We make it a family business. You'll see in sort of this presentation of why, if you've got a family, it's a great way to tie it in and make it all about helping people instead of just selling real estate. You know, if you just sell real estate in the shifting market, it's going to be tough. I was an investor, you know, on some of the last recessions, and it was very, very difficult. There was a lot of opportunity for investors, but there wasn't for realtors. And so making it about a family connection and doing that is super important. So let's jump right into this. You guys are all masters at this, probably done thousands and thousands of them, but we look at things like a normal listing. What is a normal listing, and why should we look at it maybe a little differently than just a normal listing? You know, you go and you ask questions, you do CMAs, you know, maybe do that Facebook stalking type of thing, do a little PVA action, you know, drive by, all that other type of stuff. And then you get to the listing presentation. But what makes you different? Why are you different than somebody else? And this is, again, getting it to look through things in a different lens. You know, I ask my team all the time, we're all solving the same problem. So how can we look at it differently than everybody else did? And so one of the things that me and my team have done and offered is a way to get a better listing. And so to do that, we have to ask some questions. You know, do you want to do a lot more work? And everybody's answer usually is no. But, you know, to do things that other people won't do, you sometimes have to do the things that they won't do. And so that's, you know, requires a lot more work. This process and this technique that I'm going to show you today takes a lot more work. And it's going to separate a lot of the rookie agents and the ones that are even seasoned that just won't do the work. This is going to separate them. And so you do have to take some more risk. If you do the work, though, the risk is extremely minimal. If you don't do the work, it's going to be very risky. And so we're going to show how to do that. And then the thing that I like the most about realty, I think has been my favorite part of realty, is just helping others. You know, when you can truly help someone else and absolutely do it just to help them, it is amazing, absolutely amazing how much money you make. You know, I sit there and me and my wife look a lot through our books and look through things that we do. And almost every project that I give someone something else with nothing in return is usually when I make the most money. It is helping others is gets that. And then would you guys be interested if I could show you how to double your money on every transaction? Anybody excited about that one? And how to do it on every listing, and how to make it where every person that you ever list against can't compete against you. You know, my favorite thing, I've been in high dollar sales for 20 plus years. And my favorite technique to train all my salespeople is when you can get, when they interview other agents and they interview your competitors and they say no. They tell that customer no, that they can't do that. They don't provide that. It's not possible. When you can get those type of questions answered by your competitor and yours is a yes and a standing up yes, it's a big deal. The other thing is how to change someone's life. You know, we all sell real estate. I'm sure all of you guys have different whys and why you do it. And there's some very successful realtors that just do it just for the money. But the truly ones that are creating a legacy, and I think why most of the people here at EXP is you create legacy. And imagine being able to bless somebody's family that you can literally change their life forever. And so we're going to show you how to do that on this listing. So we've got quite a few listings. And this is a different listing, just to clarify. This is not every listing. This is, you go to listing presentations and appointments to find this type of listing. What I'm talking about as a listing is there's some work that's not being done. You know, they've got some deferred maintenance. They've got maybe a couple issues. Maybe there's unfortunately a divorce or some type of situation. You get those calls. We've all got them. Hey, I just want to sell my house. Can you come help me sell the house? I want a cash offer, you know, type of thing. And so there's the as is, whereas offer. And then, you know, the skilled realtors take that a little bit farther and they're like, hey, I can take that listing and instead of just getting you a cash offer of the day, let's do a little bit of staging. Let's do a little bit of stuff and I'll get you a bunch more. You've all had that conversation. I know I've done it. I'm sure all of you guys have done it. And then there's the concierge service listing. And that's what we call it. You guys can brand this to whatever you guys want. But, you know, for us, it's going a little bit farther. It's, you know, we pay all the upfront costs. And then we put ourselves right after the first mortgage. You know, we get, you know, all the stuff in there, do all the repairs, all that type of thing. Or it's just not a good fit for either party. And, you know, you've got to look at each one of these listings, you know, and that's how we look at each listing that we go to, especially these ones that have some deferred maintenance or need a little bit something, you know, they get a little bit more money. But the concierge service takes more work. And so some of those things that you need to do that more work is, you know, you've got to do some volume or have a good relationship with an attorney. You know, you go to these things, a lot of potential clients won't be completely truthful on some of the title stuff. So you got to do your homework. Make sure there's no blemish on the title you can't get rid of. Check the tax records. You know, there's always a issue on those usually. And then also look at some possible rental income. You know, when you go to do one of these, especially if you do a cash offer or if you're going to do sort of a fix for them and help them, you've got to look at other ways to get out of it. You know, you can't just do it for just the sale of the house. You need to be able to have another, you know, way to get out of the project if, you know, the shift happens or something happens and you need to be able to move quickly. And then look at all your restoration costs. And so, you know, when you do that, and this wasn't one of our projects, we're going to actually take a couple of our projects that we did in real life and show you some real life numbers. But this is the idea. You know, you take a house that, you know, is over on the left here that maybe need a little fixing up. You know, you wouldn't have got that much money for, wouldn't have been a good listing. Probably everybody can agree that the one on the left is probably not something that they want to list, probably not something that they want to put their name on, probably not something they want to deal with. Does everybody on the right look like that'd be a good listing? You know what I mean? That'd be an opportunity to make some money, you know, type of thing. And so let's jump into one of these. And I did some things on this to make it a little simpler for a presentation type format. You know, I rounded some numbers. You know, I didn't put title or closing costs, and I sort of added the commission on the cash deal outside the, you know, in the number, you know, because usually on a cash deal, you sort of say, hey, there's no commission, but you baked it in the cookie type of thing. This is a way to sort of show that. This is a real world example that we did this for a family in Alverton. And the neat thing about this one was, this was an estate, you know, that had the parents died. This was a set of sisters that weren't getting along too well. And this was a really opportunity. You know, they both want to have their own agent, and they were very opinionated about the thing. And the attorney recommended us, and we went in, presented our stuff. And I mean, there was 10 other realtors. All of a sudden we went right to the top, and, you know, and this is why. So we had a cash offer. You know, I'm a little bit different of a team lead. You know, I do these cash offers, you know, myself. You know, a lot of agents don't have that ability to do that. And so there's a lot of third party, you know, companies that you can get hooked up with, investors, hard money guys. You know, there's lots of ways to get that money. If you guys want to have some conversations off the meeting, I'd be glad to help you on some of those. But basically, if you look at it as a $205,000 property, and, you know, you've got the 3% commission because, you know, hey, if you help them get it sold, you know, they're going to give it something to you. Whether, like I said, it's in the cookie or outside the cookie, that's about what you get paid. And then their mortgage payoff was $125 or $125,000. And so that net to the family would be about $73,000, $74,000 is what they would get. We took that a step farther and we told them about a listing, you know, and we did all the dog and pony show of showing them all the different types of listings that we could do, the marketing, the advertising, you know, the videos that we would do. And hey, this is going to take us a few weeks, but we can get you more money. And so, and notice that the yellow over here, you know, is the listing side, gets us more money too. Remember how I said, the more that you do for others, the more money you make. All we're doing is doing our job. We're just going to them and provide them a service, but we're getting paid more money. Notice they're getting paid more money. And so, you know, this option, they get $90,000. We go one step farther. And this is how you change this. notice that with the sale prices, they had some issues. They had a capacitor that was bad and something else that was bad on the HVAC, which was going to make it really hard to sell. The other thing is the parents were in wheelchairs, so there's some scuffs and some stuff on the paint, sort of pretty significant chair rub, and it just didn't look at that price point didn't look that good. It also had a couple little electrical issues. They weren't up to code, and they needed some new carpet. Notice that I figured in here some holding and attorney costs. One of the things that we're going to talk about in this is you need to be protected. Everybody goes in this with good faith that, it's all going to work perfectly. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure you're protected. You're putting some money, down. In this scenario, I put down $12,700 approximately. And so I sort of fronted that. I have a good industry partner with the attorney, so I actually didn't pay for the $2,500, till the end. So I put about $10,000 in this deal. But start looking over on the right. Notice the commission rate changed. We're not doing a 6% commission. We did a 7% commission. We got $10,596 instead of what we would have got before. Notice that the buyer side's more. Everybody gets paid more in this. It's a better solution. Somebody's going to get a better home. The family's happier. Look at the difference of what the family made. And this is when you start changing lives. This family, this was the only asset they had left of their parents. This was it. And this is what the inheritance was. And this is why these two sisters were sort of at ends with each other, because they didn't think they were going to get that much. And not that it should be about money, but look at the difference. They went from $73,000 to $108,000 that they got. That was a lot of difference to that family. And, I think they probably would have been able to rekindle that sisterhood or whatever, but they did a lot better at closing. They were hugged and, crying and everything else over the difference, the amount of money they got. And that, it was a painless process. We took all that headache out. Well, there were so many things that we got to do. You guys ever have a listing where the prospective seller doesn't listen? Anybody have one of those? And so this is a way where that's not the case. You're a partner with them. You're getting to interact with them on every level of this, from going through and doing the listing and getting the contractors in there and all that stuff. It's a true partnership, and there's a lot of opportunity for you and for them, and where they correspond with you in every sense of the way. So let's jump into another one of these. We did one down in Nashville. This was a couple that got deployed, and these were different offers. For a cash offer was about $125,000. It was in pretty rough shape. Did not look good. Like it was a little rough, but we could have gotten some money, and that's where it would have gone. Notice after their mortgage payout, they would have got $142,000 or $42,000 on that transaction. Not that much, not a life-changing amount of money, especially being in the Nashville market. Kathy can tell you that that's not a very good win for Nashville, even on a smaller property. Now you start doing the listing. Look at how we could have got more money instead of that done. The reason that there was such a significant jump here just on a regular listing even was we went from an investor, from turning it into a rental property, to actually a single family, would have got it. So we would have got a lot more money. Notice again, our commission went up, things of that nature. But now look at it when we did the repairs. Part of the reason this was so tough of a sale, this was during the middle of the summer and there's no air conditioner. So imagine selling a house that has no air conditioning. That's a tough deal. Notice where we partnered with them and fronted some of this stuff, fixed the paint. Again, they had sort of some animals and some stuff that just didn't look good. Put some new carpet in there, holding and attorney costs. We're at $14,000 in this, but look at the difference down there to the net to the family. It is insane. Also, notice how I said earlier, when we do things that are right for somebody else, notice how we're making more money. We made $9,500. Have you guys seen the big change on this sheet compared to the other ones? Anybody? 8%, and they were happy about it. You guys go to the listing presentations and people are beating you up, trying to get you the discount down to 3%, 4%, trying to do all these things. Imagine going to a listing and they are so happy that they're wanting to sign instantly every time just because you're helping them out. And they're willing to pay you for it. 8, 9, 10% is not uncommon. We do it all the time. And so you guys should not be discounting, during this recession. Add value, add, expertise, add those things to them, and people will greatly pay for you. You just have to show them the value of where this changes. And so again, look at this situation. Is that a life-changing amount of money? Somebody that thought they were going to get $42,000 to $90,000. And we went from an offer that would have been a tough sale, to we had 30 some offers because we had a great product now. We had a new house that looked gorgeous. Everything was top notch. It just looked perfect. The AC was cool in there. It was really nice. And we were able to get, multiple offers and get the family a lot more money. So when you do this though, there's some things that you need to do to make this a little different than you would on a normal transaction. Every correspondence, I don't know how many of you guys have done divorce listings, but it's very similar. Everybody that's in this, that's a decision maker, has to be in every correspondence, and everyone needs a recap after every meeting in writing. There's so much stuff that happens, and there's big dollar volumes, and everybody needs to know what those expectations are. So every time there has to be something in writing. The other one, this is one that's got me before. Don't take their word on it. Do the past taxes. Again, it's not a big deal. You can work them into the equation. It's just math. It's so easy to add them in. But don't get surprised at the end if they haven't paid their taxes for a couple of years. A lot of times, if they're looking for a cash offer, those are the reasons why. And they probably got that notice in the mail that says, hey, they're going to lose their house type of thing. And so make sure that you've checked with that. Run title. There's also some weird things. I mean, I've seen crazy stuff of, just like you guys have on going through to the closing. You've seen things like pools and, liens and, judgments and stuff that are on that title. Make sure you run title on it. It doesn't cost that much, and you can build it into the equation. Have a home inspection. This will give you a worksheet of what you've got to do and what you got to fix. And this is one that we try to get the homeowner to pay for. Even though we're fronting all the costs on all the other stuff, we really want the homeowner to be involved. And so if at all possible, we want to make sure they have skin in the game. And this is a good way to have them have skin in the game. It's also a great sales tool when you're done, that you have the product and you can literally show the inspection and show where you've remedied it and fixed it. And so it makes the selling process easier as well. Have a licensed contractor do all the work. There is so many things. Sometimes my kid or my team, my kids, everybody says I have a little too big a heart sometimes. And I try to do some things, even though I am a licensed contractor, they try to, oh, I could do that in 20 minutes. Resist that temptation. On this, it's just business. So don't help. If there's somebody that you can pay to do this, get an estimate in writing, have the homeowners be involved in the process. Get 2 or 3 bids. Have them pick the contractor that they want, even though you're paying for it. You want them to feel like this is part of it, and you want to feel like there's a partnership between you guys where you're really connected with them and you're helping, that whole process. Have a written agreement. This is the other thing. There's some money involved, and you're going to need to put what's a lien on that property, which is pretty easy. Your attorney can help you do it. I'm glad to help you offline, show you how to do that type of thing. I'm not going to do any legal work, but I'll show you how to get that process started. You want to show up as a lien. You want to make sure that you get paid. It's great that you're going to help a family out. It's great that you're going to do this, but you definitely need to make sure that you have a written agreement on everything. And it must be a partnership. This can't be just to make money. And, we looked at this, and I looked at a lot of third-party softwares or third-party companies that did this. And it's not that they're bad, but I looked at it and I thought it was a pretty egregious amount of money that they were charging for some of these services. And as you're building up your nest egg, you might need to use some of those. But once you sort of have this wasn't huge amounts of money. You know, I think the biggest one that we gave up on this was $11,000 in these examples. Wasn't a tremendous amount of money. And once you sort of get that, it just needs to be a win-win for everybody. There's so many people out there that want to take advantage of this situation. You know, this is a family that, you know, they're in a pretty rough spot usually for calling you and saying, hey, they want a cash offer or something's happened. This is a time to show compassion, and this is a time to work with them. And this is again where I don't think I've ever had, I can't recall one situation that we've ever gone in with this type of presentation with that we haven't got. And it's because they can see our sincerity. They know that we're there to help them. We know that they know that we're going to make money. We show them all the numbers. They see that we're going to make more money, but they also see the amount of money that they're going to take home. And they see that nobody else is willing to give them a hand up, you know? And so that's just something you need to look at. You know, we went to one listing presentation, and literally a set of realtors, very experienced realtors, had offered them a ridiculous amount of money for the house, low price for the house. We literally went in there and made another $50,000 just by partnership with them. And it was very minimal. 2 weeks, we were in and out. In 2 weeks, you know, they made another $50,000. Can you imagine, you know, the people that they tell your story for you? And, you know, it just makes it, it's a slam dunk. You get every listing you ever go to with this, and you get 7, 8, 9% listings without anybody ever asking. So we were able to do the same thing. One of the things that we also did is we did the same thing on commercial. You know, we looked at the world and said, man, this really works great on residential. My team does a lot of commercial. Can we do the same thing? This is a little video, and I want to show you a couple little things on there. They're real short.
Trying to do for sale by owner. At first it sounded great, but it really was a waste of our time to be able to not have to field all that. Know someone with experience and know-how is taking care of that. That was a huge burden off of us to put it into the right hands and let them take care of it for us. Trying to do for
now that David has made it possible for us to move into a new commercial building in, you know, the heart of downtown Bowling Green, we are going to be able to expand our business. We're just really looking forward to moving locations and basically finding our forever home.
We did the exact same thing on commercial. And again, it's just thinking outside the box. We're all going to be coming to situations where, you know, the next potential year or two could be pretty tough. And so when you sit there and look at things, and I'm always challenging my team, I'm challenging my family, I challenge everybody that I'm around to constantly keep looking at things and ask questions of why. How can I make that better? How can I make that faster? How can I do this? We'll look at a typical listing. What do you do when you walk in there and you see something hanging down and you see bad paint and you see stuff and you're like, man, I'm gonna have to go over here and spend my Saturday trying to get them to rearrange their house and do all that stuff. Imagine if it's a different scenario and you got to turn it up on end of, hey, we're gonna have a contractor in there. All your stuff's gonna get ruined unless you move that to the garage this weekend. It's a lot easier, you know, situation, and you get to control the whole listing the whole time. You know, you get to help them pick out the paint colors. You know, if you're walking that house and you see that just crazy paint color that you're like, oh my gosh, that's $100 fix, and it's terrible. And there's no way to politely tell them, hey, I know you picked that out for your kids or something, but it's absolutely terrible and devaluing your house 20 grand, and not giving them a solution. And, you know, usually when you start asking those questions about that, the normal procedure is you get pushback. Well, this is a scenario of, hey, we're experts. We're going to come in here. We're going to design this. We're going to change this. Hey, if you like this, if I could potentially get you $45,000 more or $25,000 more, would you be willing to, you know, partner with me and we'll do this? And it's just, it's a good thing there. So the keep in mind on this, it's not for every listing. You know, this is not, you know, if it's mint condition, ready to show, this is not for that listing. This is for, it needs a little bit more stuff on it. And it does take some more time. It's not a ridiculous amount of time. Your first 1 or 2 might take you a little bit more. But after that, it really doesn't take that much time. Usually when you're staging for the pictures and all those type of things, all you're doing is making a couple calls to different contractors and, you know, coordinating a couple things. It's really not that big a deal. You guys do this every day on the punch list, you know, on the end of it. Usually we're doing this after the inspection. We got a gun and we're trying to get our check and it's 2 weeks before close and we're trying to go through that. Some of you may not have been involved in that because the market's been so hot. Last couple of years, you've been telling them, hey, we're not doing a punch list. Well, that's coming back. And so isn't it better to get that done before and you're doing it and you get to control the control all that stuff, but it does take a little bit more time. You need to make some budgets. And, with every good construction project, you're going to need to plan for some overages. Have a little bit of a budget, if something crazy happens, because it might. The other thing is there's lots of third-party providers that can front you the money on this. You don't have to front the money on this. You can do these deals on the backside with some hard money, some other different programs if you need it. So there's ways to do this, but be prepared for a budget because, it's inevitable. You'll pull something out and, that air conditioner one that we did on that one, we got really lucky. My buddy had gone by there and looked at it, told me exactly what it was, and he was right. But, he could have missed that too. And maybe there was something else and we would have had to replace it instead of being that $1,500 or $2,500, it could have been $7,000 or $8,000. So you just need to plan for those overages. Make sure that everybody is communicated with and, make sure it's in writing and even little things. It doesn't have to be some stupid formal, craziness. It's just, you need to communicate that, hey, the plumber's going to be there. Hey, they're going to do this, 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 and this. And, it's happening. And then also, be transparent. Let them see the bills. Let them see that you're not marking them up. Let them see that, what the expenses are. It's their money. At the end of the day, you guys are just partnering. You're sort of being a mini bank in essence for that. But at the end of the day, you guys are partners. So make sure that you're transparent on all the numbers. Start small. You guys can do this. That one that I was telling you that was $50,000. They literally paid us. It was an estate, and that the problem was they had access to no money, that they had none. And I think we spent $1,500. It was very, very small. And the testimonial video that lady did for me was priceless. She was so cute. She was this little old lady, and she was moving to be down next to her kids down in Arizona, and she was moving from Bowling Green. And man, we changed her life. She couldn't figure out how to get there. And it was some simple changes. $1,500 made her another $50,000. So you can start small. You don't have to do this big. She was so happy to pay us. I think she paid us 8%. She would have paid us 12%. She was just happy about it. And add value. Don't do this for the money. Do this to add value to these people's lives. If you can make them more money, they'll make you more. And again, sort of the same thing. Do it for the right reasons. There's so many people that do similar to this situation, and they're monetizing. You guys have them in every market, and they're buying all the houses up, and they're turning them into rentals, and they're just trying to monetize the situation. Be a partner, change somebody's life. Be a success story, and it's going to get you more sales. It's going to get you more repeat business. It's going to get a better community. And I'm not saying that investors are bad. I'm an investor, but help them, help other people, and you'll get paid to do it. So I guess, do you guys have any questions or anything I can walk through? I know I covered a tremendous amount of information, and sometimes maybe I might not be clear on anything. Is there any questions or any real world scenarios you guys want to walk through?
So
Let's open it up here
Paul
for a
had
minute.
quick-
Yeah, go ahead.
Paul had a question in the chat about Curbio.
Mhm.
Have you used them, or has anybody used them? He's asking.
I don't know if anybody else has. I have not. I looked at them, and I think they look above board. They look like it was a good deal. Our team is in a little different situation that, we have the financial means to sort of do it and do it internally. But there's lots of third parties like that are a great way to start and really minimize your risk.
Yeah, well, here I'm in the Snoqualmie Valley of Washington, and we're running really tight on contractors and plumbers, any trades, you name it, because we're a tech center. We're like Silicon Valley North, and so it's really hard to find that. So Curbio, I've been investigating them for several years, and they seem to have a really good standing. There's another company coming up called Divvy. They're not in our state yet, but that's what I was trying to think about. Finding a way to actually layer that into a listing presentation as well. Because right now I'm getting a listing that needs work like bad. So.
Yeah, I actually copied Divio's model is sort of what I did. And again, I'm not saying they're bad. I think they're great. Especially if you don't have the means to be able to do that, it's a perfect solution. The thing that we had is we have the means to do it. If you start small though, like I said, one of the most rewarding ones I had was, we spent $1,500. She made another $50,000. Can you imagine walking to a listing presentation and go, I'm going to make you $15,000 or $50,000 more for partnering with you? And it was just a situation. And again, I wasn't taking advantage of the situation. I was helping her and providing an opportunity. Literally, it was awesome. During her testimonial video, she was sitting there crying. It was, we literally changed her. I had her son call me and tell me, thanks for letting mom come home. Those are cool conversations. And I wouldn't have gotten that without just being a partner. She'd had another, really reputable couple real estate people come and basically try to screw her out of her house because they knew her situation and they were just going to buy it and turn it into a rental. And again, I'm not saying, turning properties into rentals is bad. I'm just saying that situation, we were able to change that lady's life forever. And, that son had run me through the ringer. When we had the listing thing, he told me he was having 5 different agents and it was all about numbers and it was all about stats. And they were looking for whoever would give them the highest listing value is what they had. I gave him the second lowest, but that was my cash offer. Then I gave him, a much better one when we partnered. And they're like, you'll help us? That son had been, subsidizing his mom for the last year. He was out of money. They were moving her they were tapped. And so to be able to give them that much, stuff. And in that situation, it was even better. We got both sides of the deal. It was awesome. I'm sitting over there every day. My truck's in the driveway. The neighbors are talking to me. I'm checking on the job. Heck, we got both sides of the deal. It was an awesome thing. I got rewarded and blessed a ton for just doing the right thing. And so that's our entire business model is just, we look at every transaction of how can we do this differently than everybody else is looking at it? And how do we make sure that on every transaction, we're above board and we're getting that family more money? When we fight and we get more money for that family, we always get more. We always get more. My admin says it wonderfully sometimes. She's like, even if I hated you, I'd still have you sell my house. She's like, you're the hardest fighting guy. Be the hardest fighting guy or gal in the room. When you can do those things, people will see that. They see that passion. They see that desire. Look at that value add. We're adding all these different scenarios. Have you guys ever come across another realtor that has pitched that type of idea to your client? Especially when they're willing to put their own money in it. And again, I'm not asking you guys to be risky or do a bunch of things that are dangerous. But when
David,
you
do me a favor. Stop sharing your screen here if you can. Is that okay? We can all see each other here a little bit better.
Yep.
There we go. Because I love everything you're doing. Again, it's making yourself, don't just go in like every other realtor. Here's what we're gonna do. You're thinking outside the box. You said that, and I wrote that down as before you said it, because I'm like, that's exactly what this is. And I think that's such a powerful thing in this kind of market. Any kind of market. How do you make yourself stand out in the crowd? Because here's what every realtor is doing. What can I do to, again, here's what makes me different. Here's what makes me, a different fit. And again, it might be fine that, we just want out of this deal, just buy it, cash, rental, get out of here. That's what they want. That's fine. But if you can help them in this situation like this, you're putting 50,000, 60, 70,000 more in their pocket. Like I can see where they would gladly pay you 7%, 8%,
And here's the thing, Jeff, you said it, we're all playing this realty game so we can get these opportunities. There's going to be that one guy or gal that they're going through a divorce or they got a rough situation or they've just got to take that cash offer. And that's how these exist. But man, I sleep a lot better at night knowing that when that guy asked me to write him a check for $120,000 and I know that I'm going to make $65,000, $70,000, $80,000 on it, I don't feel bad. I gave him options. I gave him opportunities to get out of it. I'm not the prick. I'm the nice guy that wanted to do that. Yes, there's opportunities I capitalize on, and there's ones that I don't. Let's say a scenario that maybe it's it's a little too close to the vest, and I've done this. It's too close to the vest. I feel like I'm going to still take advantage of that family. that video that I gave you, that commercial deal, that was that scenario. I could have made $250,000 on that. I could have bought that, but those were friends of the family. I didn't feel like that if I presented a value that they wouldn't think that I was influencing the situation. I literally sat there. I put two friends together, got the deal done. Everybody's super happy. They made a ton of money. The buyer got a fantastic building that they never would have got before. It was a dive. It's gorgeous now. I mean, it is we made Bowling Green a better situation right there. We improved a property. I made both families money, and now they're blessing me. They've got, I think it's a 1,500 acre property that they're letting me and my team develop. That's millions that we'll get off that for not taking a $240,000 thing and doing the wrong thing. Doing the right thing. We're going to get blessed to do a ton of stuff. Then we're going to keep Abel and Erica and all those guys is super swamped, and it'll be good.
So a question is, do you always, like, even going back to that small deal, a $1,500 deal, do you always put a lien on the property with yourself on every situation, or only on the bigger dollars?
The bigger dollars, and if somebody wants to have that conversation off topic and not being recorded, I'd be glad to answer a little bit more on that. But the short answer is no.
Okay.
Do you we've got some contractors, because again, ones we've been doing this 21 years. So you get these relationships and they're just good and they're trustworthy. You just know they're the guy you call when you need something with this or this or this. And so many of them on our end, they're fine because we've got this relationship that's been built. They're fine that, hey, we're closing in 6 weeks and they're going to get paid at closing. And we'll have it, in there. I mean, is that you could do that with this?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's not money out of your pocket. It's not money out of my pocket. It's just, they're good. It's just written in there, and it all comes out at closing, out of the proceeds.
It is. There's a couple things that we've run across. The first is make sure that they're very transparent. If they don't want to use your guy, don't push your guy. That's the first thing.
For sure.
The second one is, even if it's a day or two before, I usually pay them. I might have some extended terms, but I usually write the check. It's usually a little easier situation if you go to closing and it's exactly how you promised. Hey, you wrote a $15,000 check. You're blessed with an extra % or two. When you're starting to get contractors at closing, not saying that's bad, not saying that you can't do that, especially on your first couple of deals to sort of get that, pump primed. In my opinion, I've just found it better where I write the check and it's done.
Right.
It also gives me a little bit more control, and I'm a big relationship guy, and so I really thrive on going and talking to that client and making that relationship with them. I get, and it's not sales pitch, but I get 10 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever that is, to establish that relationship with them. I'm always the guy they call. I'm literally always the guy they call. I've been in this 3 years and I'm already having repeat business. And, I'm having repeat business on divorces. I'm having repeat business on, hard situations, moving, whatever, family, friends. But I'm always the guy they refer to. They're like, he is the nicest guy ever for helping me what I did. And so, you take that situation of like a divorced couple. It's not a good situation. I'm the peace guy that comes in that they're both like, well, they did a really good job the first time. We're just going to, do what they say. And, not that that's a good situation, but we're able to help and mitigate that and walk through it. We would have never got that relationship. And so if you spend 6 to 8 weeks with them while you're going through this process, you're good. And, again, it just makes the whole rest of the sales process so much easier. You're basically doing all the stuff you normally do after closing, and you got 30 days. You're just doing it in advance and getting paid for it.
Yeah. I can only imagine the referrals that you get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You get a video testimonial like that's so powerful, and tell the story. Go online, tell the story, make a 5-minute video, tell the story, standing out in front of the house, or here's the before and after pictures, and here's what we did, and here's how we did it, and here's the sellers and how happy they are. I mean, my goodness, I could see you getting tons of business out of that.
Well, one of my favorite one is I have a really good friend that is 7 foot tall. And so it's sort of funny because I'm a short guy and he's 7 foot tall. So it's pretty funny, but he literally almost intimidates people to use me. We get listings all the time from him. He goes and knocks on their door and is like, you don't understand. This dude's the hardest working dude I have ever met.
Use them or else.
We didn't do that much more. I mean, we offered him some opportunities to do some things. And it's totally different. And you don't have to fight in this market. You know, there's so much business if you just sit back and look at it, you know, and I think that's what investors do so well, or a lot of the really good ones. And I'm not to that point yet, but I think that's what a lot of investors do is they sit back and look at the world a little differently. And so if you guys challenge yourself to look at how is everybody else doing this listing? You know, if there's 15 other realtors, we're doing, and some of those listing presentations the other day were amazing. So I'm going to say that those guys, they deserve the win on their own merits because that was flipping epic. But, you know, you look at that, you're really having to be that 1%er of competing. This is a very good way to level the field and make it where somebody else isn't. And in my opinion, it's pretty easy. It's pretty simple. Now, what I'm also not saying, and I'm going to have a disclaimer on this, don't go do a $400,000 or $500,000 one your first time. Don't get in this and don't do this till you've done, you know, 24 of them. Don't get over 50 grand unless you're just super rich. There's a good possibility to lose, you know, in these situations. Not every one of these is a win. And so you definitely need to be able to absorb that without a huge problem.
Good point. What are the questions, guys? Do you have comments, questions, thoughts? What are you thinking? Oh, this sounds great. Yeah, but I don't know about this. What thoughts do you have? Anybody? Mike, why don't you unmute yourself for a minute? You're thinking. I can see you thinking.
Yeah. So when you start investing into the property, at that point, you can raise your commission rate.
Correct.
Okay.
And when I do that, it's on a measure of things. The first several that we did, you know, 7-8%. We now do it on sort of a risk factor of, you know, the more money we're out, the more time, the more headache, you know, the risk might go out. So it might only be a $5,000, you know, investment. I might do 9%, but it's really what is in it. The biggest thing that I try to do on every deal is what's going to be good for them, what's going to be good for me. And if one of my team members is involved, what's going to be good for them. And so if it's fair and a win-win for everybody in the equation, that's the number.
There you go. That's good. Guys, and remember, you know, I said it when I created the event in Workplace, you know, put this together just to remind people what we're doing. And I say this all the time. I learned this a long time ago. You know, cost is a factor in the absence of value. People will beat you up on commissions if they don't see the value. You know, why should I pay you $15,000 when all you're going to do is this, and you're just like every other realtor? Like, well, this guy said I could do it for 4%, you know, instead of 6%. You know, whatever, I'm going to go with that guy. That's what they end up looking at. Whereas if you come in and here's all the things I'm going to do to make this work and to get this sold and to make you more money, they'll happily pay the 6%, 7%, 8%, whatever. You know, it's a factor when we don't explain all the things we're going to do, just even on a regular listing. You know, if you go down and explain all the things that you're going to do, here's all the websites, here's the marketing, here's the thing, here's the open houses, here's the list of all those things. Again, some of this we're learning with Aaron. You know, it's like there's no issue. You're not going to get beat up on your commission. You're going to get beat up if you go in there and it's a 5-minute deal and you're just like the 4 of the realtors they met with. You know, and here's the discount guy over here. Go ahead, David.
You didn't explain how you were better.
Exactly.
Hey, I had a quick question.
Go ahead, Brian.
Go ahead, Brian.
You know, pre-inspection comes up in conversations now and then because of, and I love doing them. But I guess my general question is sometimes they can kind of bite you in the back end because now don't I have to disclose if something comes up, and do I sometimes run into painting myself in a corner a little bit? Have you ever had that happen, David, where you've done a pre-inspection and something's come up and it's like, oh crap, I wish we never would have done the pre-inspection?
Absolutely. But what's your integrity worth for the $450 that you did that in advance? If you're going to have that situation, why have it be with a gun to your head after closing? You know, a lot of us that went to Cabo are looking how the Fed now stuff is going to translate. That's going to be the new standard. We're going to do pre-inspections on every listing. You know, that's going to be part of the process of how they do, you know, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac type loans in 7 days, is you're going to get a accredited, you know, inspection. So that's probably not going to be out of the norm soon anyway.
You know, one of the things we have here in Colorado that frustrates me is our inspectors aren't licensed. And so, you know, anybody can be an inspector. And I've had issues, my last close, where the inspector called out the HVAC system and some other stuff. And yet then when I had a professional HVAC person and a professional plumber come in, you know, he was off base. And I tried to let the listing agent know that, or the buyer's agent say, you've got an inspector that's now costing my client more money to come in and have these things checked out. And it almost cost us the deal. So I guess that question leads me to do you actually have an inspector, or do you actually have an HVAC person come out and maybe even an electrician, a plumber, somebody that's licensed?
I've done it several ways. The one that has worked the best for us is I have some pretty good relationships with some home inspectors. And so they give us on the right path. So let's say that they do come up with that. Then we call that sub to go out there and check it out that's licensed. But again, we're going to be in the same situation. If that home inspector found that, some other home inspector is probably going to find that too. The other thing that we found is most of the time, if we use a really, really good guy for the home inspection, and we have it laid out with the home inspector, and then we have it laid out with the contractor, and again, we're super transparent. Here's where we actually paid for it. Here's the paid invoices. Then we have the finished product. Most of the time, they don't even do a home inspection. They literally go, man, you knocked every one of them out. Boom. And if they did, we hand the same thing to the home inspector. He gets to sit there and look and check our work. After about the 10th one that he finds that's perfect, great. If he finds one or two that aren't, that's why they paid him $400 or $500. But we were going to have that issue anyway, so why not be transparent?
Gotcha. I appreciate that. That's good. That's good feedback. Appreciate that.
You know, again, in that same scenario, it's adding value. If I added value that I already did their work, I added value that I was there, and then I was super transparent. Here's my invoice. Here's where it is. Are they going to think I'm credible? Are they going to think my inspector is credible? I'm not hiding a thing, you know, and so that also, you know, every house has its ghosts and has its weird little things in it. And so that just eliminates a lot of those and usually makes the customer pretty nice. And it really gets you a lot nicer with the other agent too, because you're getting to have a conversation with them. You know, I don't know about you guys, but we always try to have a conversation with the agent that's showing our house if we can. It's a really nice situation. Hey, we had a home inspection. These are the 4 things that failed. Here's the invoices where we sent them. Educate your customer, add some value to you, and you have a really nice conversation. And again, you're not trying to hide anything.
David,
Yep.
how do you get to your cash number just from your initial comp and experience?
I came in this, I came into it a little bit different just because I was I was that guy that people called in the middle of the night that said, hey, we need the cash offer type of thing. I was the investor for years. And so I've sort of know that. And I'm also a licensed contractor, but you know, it's all about the numbers. So if you, in absence, and I guess in more trouble trying to guess the numbers because I don't, you know, you skip a step. It's always the process of you go get all the home inspection, you go through the list, get the numbers, and then lay them out. But again, it slows that conversation down from that listing thing. Even if you don't end up doing this, you usually always get the business because you're sitting there going to do this work. It is not, in my opinion, and I do this all the time too, anything to ask for, go ahead and ask for the listing. Go, hey, we're probably going to do this option 3. But hey, I was the guy that brought all this value to you. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and sign this listing. We'll have it just listed, just coming soon. Then go ahead and do the work. You've already got the contract.
Assume the sale.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Once you start providing value and once you start saying, hey, I'm the guy or the gal, that conversation switched. You already got the business. Why not just ask for it? You know, now it's just a matter of logistics, working through the numbers to see if we can make it where they could get more money. And so, you know, you've already got the 6% listing. Now it's just a matter if you can get a 7 or 8. And here's the thing. It's, again, goes back to the situation of your business partner. You're looking at the situation of now, you've agreed to 6. If I can get you an extra 35,000, is it worth blessing me and paying my team for my expertise to get that, 2%, yes. But if it doesn't make sense to them, you're also go back to that 6% listing, which you've got now. You're amazing. You've literally, spent some extra time, so you got some time in it. But at the end of the day, you're a business partner, and it's just, it's all about that relationship and tying it back.
So was your process, David, you go in, assess, look at the property, go away, and then come back for a second meeting, and then have like option A, B, C laid out for them?
It does. But at the same point, I'm usually trying to get, I'm pretty aggressive. So I usually get a signed listing before I leave. So I usually have the first one or two in there. I'm not so sorry, the full listing, I usually get signed. If they want the cash offer, I usually go back and regroup on the cash offer, to be honest with you. Unless I'm just, it's going to be something that I buy, or I know an investor is going to buy, like, that. I don't even, option 1 and 3, I both come back. The only one that I'm willing to sign that day usually is the listing.
Mhm.
Okay. Paul, did you have a question? I know you unmuted yourself, or are you good?
Oh, well, yeah, I was on a basically a listing appointment on Saturday, and it's a divorce, and the homeowner, the lady that reached out to me is like living in Wisconsin or something, and I'm here in Washington. I met with her husband, and yeah, the house has it's manufactured. It has moss on the roof and all these cosmetic things that just absolutely need to get done. And when I asked him what his timeline was, he was like, well, I'm thinking about end of summer. My suggestion, I just want to make sure that I laid it out. Maybe you can help me in the next one, but I suggested make all the things, all of the repairs that we talked about, the very obvious stuff, the moss on the roof and cosmetic things, replace the LP siding on a little spot, those kinds of things. And I suggested we take care of that over the next month or two, and then we get a home inspector to finish out the punch list. Does that make more sense, that you'd have them do all the obvious stuff rather than get an inspector in there that when he's not even, ready to do anything until, like, say, August, and, give him this punch list that's just ridiculously long? We'd better just let him run for a little bit till he gets tired, and then go for it, and then get the home inspector in there.
Ask the question, why are you waiting till August?
Okay, good.
So the answer is he has to do the work.
Right, exactly. Yep.
So if I could get you more money, get you a summer back, get you where you're not having to communicate with your ex, I'm going to take care of all that situation. I'm going to take care of all this. I'm going to put on an easy pilot for you, and I'm going to get you more money. And tell you what, this is such an amazing property. I'm going to partner with you to do it. I want your business. I want to help you move on. I want there to be some closure in your marriage, and I'm willing to help. And then shut up.
Okay. Yeah, a
And
lot of work.
then they'll be like, oh, okay, yep, that's the reason.
Yeah, it's on 5 acres. It's got yeah, there's a lot of outbuildings and things that really need to be cleaned up. So it's going to be a project, that's for sure.
The other thing is, and not in all cases, but usually in cases that are divorces that are in less desirable homes, time is of the essence, because one of the idiots will do something crazy. And they're still married. So they get a credit card judgment on them, they get a medical judgment, they get something on them. So the faster you can move on it, the better.
Okay, thank you.
Is there good equity there, Paul? On that?
They got the property. I mean, the property values in that area, believe it or not, probably are bumping right around 800 for that particular kind of property when they bought it for like 275, several years back. Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely some equity in it. I use HomeBot myself, and HomeBot will also tell you, what the mortgage balance is. I don't know if you've noticed that part of it, but yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it's this again is going to be a lot of work, David. It's going to be work, period, hard work, because there's no way around it. She's unrealistic. She thinks she can get 1.2. Not just, and he's like, oh, no, it's going to be more like 7, 8, that kind of thing. So,
Well, Jeff, you made a very good point, and that's one of the big precursors. And I take some of these things for granted because I do it every time that I look in my head. There has to be good equity in the property. If
Mhm.
there's not good equity, unless you're willing to just eat it out of your pocket, like whatever your budget is, there better be 3-4 times that in potential equity before you go into it. And you
Okay.
need to know your market, and you need to know what you can get out of it. I don't know if you caught it from one of those slides. A lot of scenarios that I put in there, I actually go do the headache and hassle to figure out what a rental income would be in that property. So let's say the market shifts, or let's just say we just can't get it done. We just for some reason can't get a buyer. We've got to be able to shift and pivot to where we can maybe get an investor in there and get, 3/4 or 80% or, of what we're originally shooting for, and still be able to get that family out, and more importantly, you out. If not, I mean, you're potentially having a second mortgage on a property that will never sell. That does not put you in a good situation.
Mhm. Okay. Perfect.
Something to dig in on, Paul. I mean, and think about all the things that David, what you learned here today and what David shared with you, because it might be, another good conversation with them. A lot of work, but maybe it is through Curbio or one of those. I don't know how Curbio works. I haven't dug into that. I'm sure there's fees and stuff, but whatever. But to see how that could all play in, get these contractors in there, and it's done in a month, whatever. I mean,
Right.
whatever. But you're adding this much more now, getting it done and hitting the summer season, and
Right.
you walk away the hero.
Yep.
If all that comes together, and now you've got a testimony on the wife and the husband and whatever, and it's just, there could be some powerful stuff there. Maybe this is something there, maybe not, but it's worth a conversation, from what we just talked about. So
No, I kind of am leaning toward, I've been dying to try Curbio because, I mean, the last several listings I've had have been situations where they just a lot of work to be done, and
sure,
so, okay, thanks.
definitely. One last question, Benjamin. I know you had yourself unmuted. I muted you back. I'm sorry. Can you unmute yourself? Got your hand raised up there. There you go.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I had unmuted myself by mistake earlier.
No, you're good.
Yeah, no, just wanted to ask, how are you marketing this program? Are you marketing it as receive cash offers for your home, or how are you going about marketing?
We're starting to do that a little bit. Our big thing is that the market is starting to shift, a little bit, where that's, the little marketing is going to be a little bit more applicable. To be honest with you, it was not something that went in every sale. We went to a listing appointment just to go get the listing. It was, you walk in there and you're like, uh-oh, there's a couple little things that are going to take a little extra time, and then we sort of pivoted on those, or, you did a drive-by and you noticed that the, some fit and finish issues, that you need to look at. We are going to get more and more marketing. There's some different regulations. You need to look at each state and be very clear with your broker of how you market that and what's applicable in your state. There's some pretty severe penalties for being wrong on that.
Cool.
Okay, thanks.
Good stuff. Tim, I know you had yourself unmuted. Do you just have a comment to make, or any thoughts? Anything you want to share?
Yeah, I think we've clarified it. I was just going to ask David to clarify kind of options A, B, and C. Is he offering all three every time? Are you offering them a cash price? And this is not necessarily my price, but this is what I think an investor would pay for it. Kind of talk to that, if you would, please.
Yeah, I do a lot of commercials, so I do have pretty intimate knowledge of what a lot of investors are looking for, and I sort of have a sweet spot and a lot of, just it fits in a criteria. So yes, that's exactly how I word it. If it's something that I'm willing to write a check for, or somebody on my team that's looking at it that I'm willing to write a check for, hey, we have you a cash offer, because I'm willing to write a check for it. If it's not, this is what a typical investor would pay for this fit and fitness condition.
Cool.
And you'll find, again, if you ask the question, there's very few circumstances. I mean, I bought a duplex once where they had a psychopath, person on the other side that they were scared to death of, and there was some physical harm situations. Most of the time, cash is not what they're wanting. They just don't know how to get out. The AC's broke, and they've called 2 or 3 HVAC people. And usually when you're having a conversation with them, you find out that there's been 2 or 3 HVAC guys there. They've always told them $6,500 to $8,000, and they don't know how to get there. Is, usually the scenario that you find. But again, ask questions.
Yeah. Great stuff. Kathy, you want to take it out? Guys, we appreciate you being here. Tomorrow, with Aaron. Same time, same Zoom link. You can invite people out. That Eventbrite link is up there still available this week and next week. David, awesome stuff. Kathy, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Just to kind of touch on what Jeff just said, join in tomorrow, go back and watch the listing classes that Aaron has done, because you can take all that information, tie in what David just taught, right? And you will be unstoppable on your listing, presentations moving forward. And so
Without question.
David, yeah, I mean, Aaron's done some amazing stuff. Like I said, it's like, take what you just taught, combine the two, and, powerful stuff. So join in tomorrow. It's at 10 o'clock Central Time, right?
Same time. Yep. Mhm.
Yep, same time, same link. Join in. And David, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Loved it.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. If anybody
Excellent.
needs me, just reach out to me in the world. I'd love to talk to anybody who needs help on this.
There you go. David, we really appreciate it, man. Thanks for putting
Yeah,
the
thanks,
time
David.
into it, putting all that together. Really great stuff. So
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Awesome
Thank
job.
you.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. The recording will be up here the next hour and a half. Okay. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Have a great one.